Good evening, you're watching Estuary TV News. Coming up, we find out where the Mayor of Immingham is going next week. And joining me in the studio is Sam Whittaker from the Grimsby Institute to review the week's papers. Welcome to Estuary TV News. I'm James Dunn. First, it's over to Erica Barker for the news headlines.
Hello, in the headlines today. Our City Council is increasing its subsidy of school meals, meaning Hull schools are now able to offer lunchtime meals for 50p per day to children aged 7 to 11. Hull's health and wellbeing bodies say they wanted to reduce the cost to parents of healthy school meals as part of working towards one of their key aims of helping children to have a healthy start in life. And after 10 years in the UK, a Scunthorpe rugby player is to be deported. Moretti Versamo, known as Woody, has been a stalwart of Scunthorpe Rugby Club since initially visiting the area, but is now being told his application for a new visa.
I put my application in, hoping that it would just go through, but I turned up to work one day and that basically Home Office had emailed my work saying to make sure that he finishes work immediately and that he's a legal immigrant and he's to get fired straight away.
Initially, I think people were gutted and we were all rallying around and we wrote to our MP and we tried to get people to change their mind, but to no avail. And I think once we'd realised that there was not going to be any change in the government policy, then we sort of focused on getting a good send-off for it.
Humberside police are appealing for witnesses after a boy was threatened on Walton Street. On Wednesday at around 4:45 in the afternoon, a 14-year-old was walking towards Anlaby Road when an unknown man cycled past him before stopping and trying to engage him in conversation and asking the youngster to follow him into West Park. And the town of Caister is to hold its first wassail event. The blessing of the apple trees aims to frighten off the evil spirits, and there will be plenty of homemade cider on offer. It takes place on Saturday at Caister Sports Club and Community Orchard between 1 and 3 p.m.
We have all the Grimsby Morris men and the community there all dancing and laughing and drinking and banging lids and making plenty of noise to drive away the evil spirits from the trees. And but the community, it is a community, very much a community-led event.
Well, that's all from me for now. If you have any news, then please don't hesitate to contact us on 01472 3155 61. Thank you.
Thank you, Erica. New research from the government shows that 81% of businesses suffered a security breach in 2014, which is down 5% on the previous year. However, the average cost of that IT security breach has nearly doubled. For large businesses, it's now an eye-watering 1.15 million, and even for small businesses, it's 115,000. I spoke to a local IT advisor that's advising businesses to step up their security in the new year.
The biggest concern for businesses has got to be data security. And when we talk about data security, what we're talking about is things that could be lost in your business that could cause a problem, generally a financial issue. So for us, for example, it would be our customer list going missing. So if a competitor got hold of our customer list, that would obviously give them details about who we deal with, how much money those people spend with us, when those contracts are up for renewal. That gives them the opportunity to try and steal that business from us quite easily.
Most, if not all, modern routers have got the settings which are very, very easy to change. It's just a tick box and putting in a secure password, so it is very, very simple to do.
Actually, attacks through Wi-Fi probably make up around about 20% according to a recent government report. So it's actually the rest of the security which is an issue too. We sort of compare it to having a burglar burglar alarm in your house, but leaving the front door open or leaving the windows open. So actually, it's the whole security area that you need to think about. Could someone get your network infected by clicking on a dodgy email or clicking on a dodgy link on a website, or maybe printing off a customer list and walking out the front door of it, or email it to themselves?
You're watching Estuary TV News. Coming up, the Mayor is going where? We catch up with the Mayor of Immingham to find out what he's up to. And Dan Kemp will bring you the sports news. Next in the show, it's that time of week where we look at the region's papers. Here with me today is Vice Principal of Grimsby Institute, Sam Whitaker. Sam, thank you very much for coming in today.
Good evening.
It's been an interesting week in news, as it always is. What's caught your eye?
Well, I think the standout over the last couple of days really has been the news in relation to Tesco's, their profit warning, and the impact that's going to have on stores in the local area, really. I think that comes at the end of a bad period for Tesco's, really, with their 250 million financial error last year.
It's a lot of money to lose.
It's a lot of money to lose. I think profits were down, or certainly takings were down over the Christmas period.
Yes.
But that's resulted in their announcement that they need to shelve plans for new stores and actually close, I think it's 43 stores that are already in existence. So big news for a business like Tesco's.
Yeah, I mean, it's a huge business, and I mean, when we talk about profits down, they've still announced huge profits, haven't they?
Yeah, I mean, they're a fantastically successful business, and I think that's often forgotten. But you know, for an employer like Tesco's, and we know what opening a major store in a region can have for local employment and availability and options for residents as well. To build a store and then not open it.
I mean, just to clarify, we're talking about Immingham here because they've announced, obviously, that not only will 43 stores have to close, and they've not announced which stores they will be. 49 stores, I believe, which are not yet open, they've announced will not open, and one of those is the store in Immingham that, of course, people in the town have been looking forward to for quite some time now.
Yeah, and we know the impact that, you know, a regenerated high street and the retail offer can have on a community. There's nothing worse than seeing boarded up shops, let alone one that's actually been constructed as a new build and won't get to open. So I think that shows the impact that, or the issues that Tesco's have had to look at to understand whether they've got a profitable business at their store in Immingham. And
I suppose the one upside might be that part of the reason, perhaps it's been suggested that they are having falling profits, is extra competition on the high street with people like Aldi and Lidl. So maybe it could even be better news for consumers. It
could be, and I think if it shows that local shops and local businesses benefit as a result, then that might take time to filter through, but that can only be a good thing for the region.
We'll see what happens with that one then. Now, next up, there was one that I know you felt particularly passionate about, and this is obviously the Siemens project, which has been big news in the area for quite some time now. Just before Christmas, you were saying that I think 14 jobs were advertised, is that right?
Yes, the first round of jobs for the Greenport Hull initiative.
In the whole Daily Mail that we've seen. Were
advertised through local medias and job centres for the first 14 jobs that are going to be land-based, and the news that's broken today that they've had 1,000 applicants for those 14 jobs. So I don't envy the HR manager that's got to go through that process, but it just shows the interest in that particular project and what it could mean to this region. Siemens are talking about 1,000 jobs in total, I believe, when they're in up at full capacity.
The demand's there.
The demand is certainly there, and I think that's a good thing to see.
Yeah, I mean, you say you don't envy that HR guy, but I mean, I don't really envy the young people who have got this level of competition. I mean, presumably they're not all young people, actually. These are people looking for
no,
jobs,
and I think that's a key role that Siemens, the local enterprise partnership and others have to play in sort of marketing what this opportunity could mean. It'll be a massive missed opportunity if young people in this region aren't benefiting from the jobs that will be advertised, not just through Siemens, but Dong Energy and Able UK as well. So we need to communicate that message, and colleges like Grimsby Institute have a role in playing in that. And
it's probably about having the training facilities so that young people will be in a position to take advantage of these sort of opportunities as well as older people.
Yeah, it's delivering the right kind of information, advice and guidance while young people are at school, so they're aware of these opportunities and the paths that they need to take to make sure they can get employed in the future. Because it's a fantastic expanding sector with some important jobs.
And presumably, as well as the young people, it's very important for these companies as well.
Definitely.
So let's move on, shall we? This was something on the front of the Louth Leader, actually, which I know you felt quite strongly about.
Yeah, this is the news that almost overnight in Louth, signs that were basically anti-homelessness and saying that homeless people aren't welcome within the town were erected, and it's stirred up the passions of people locally, really. It's disappointing that something like that would happen, and I think there's, whether it's to create awareness or whether someone's done it to say that there's a lack of support for homeless people within the community.
It's difficult to know, but I mean, just to give the viewers a clue, some of the signs say things like homeless, not welcome, refuse to help homeless, and what's that? Give a dog a home, give the homeless the elbow. I mean, extremely insensitive.
I think it's incredibly sad, actually, that people would feel the need to broadcast those views. People don't become homeless out of choice, or rarely. Homeless people need a home. There is good support going on in the region in terms of food banks and providing sort of accommodation for them. And over Christmas, you see a spike in that, really, just because of that particular time of year. But really, the reality of homelessness, I think, particularly in places like Grimsby and Hull, is really not realised, and work needs to go into supporting that, not signs that are proving that we just want to shun the problem.
The thing is, though, it's a bit of a mystery as well, because if anything, it seems a bit strange. No one's really come forward to say that they put the signs up. The police have chastised whoever did put the signs up. But the strangest thing, really, is just why.
I don't think we'll ever know the answer to the reason why unless whoever did it steps forward. After front page news, and particularly reading some of the comments as a backlash, I'd be very surprised if that particular individual or group of individuals step forward.
I suppose it's just good to see that there actually has been a backlash, and,
that's
and
the
that
right thing.
People don't feel that way.
Yeah.
Well, Sam, we're coming to the end of this section, but we will come back and we'll discuss some more stories in a few minutes. But next, it's time for the Mayor's Going Where, and today we find out what Malcolm Cullum, the Mayor of Immingham, is doing next week.
I've been Mayor since last May. I'm enjoying my year quite a bit. I've done quite a variety of things. I particularly enjoy visiting the groups in Immingham, but I've been very honoured to attend a number of things outside Immingham. One has been the National In Bloom Awards in Bristol, of which the In Bloom team came away with a Silver Gilt Award and a special award for involving young people in Immingham. In November, I was very fortunate to be invited to Plymouth to start the celebrations for the 400 years of the Pilgrim Fathers sailing from Plymouth, and all the places that the Pilgrim Fathers had connections with were invited to start the celebrations and sign a charter which was then flown to America. So for 6 years we're going to be working towards the celebrations. It's not quite so busy at the moment because of Christmas, but a number of things are coming along in the future, including coffee mornings, visits to groups, and we're having a concert in Immingham for my charity, which is the Pelham Singers are doing music from the shows, and then we're doing a murder mystery until I finish on May the 20th.
Thank you to Malcolm Cullum, the Mayor of Immingham there. Now it's back to our paper review. Still with me is Sam Whittaker. What else have you seen in the papers, Sam?
An interesting one that's picked up my interest, really, about the police, Humberside Police, and their use of social media as a means of communicating with its customers, really, I guess, if that's the one way of looking at it. We know social media is big in business.
Part of all of our lives now, isn't it?
It is, and it's great when you see that the public sector are also sort of picking up that mantle. And I follow the Humberside Police account. I think they're good at broadcasting key messages you understand what they're doing with a good dose of humour as well, which I think is essential because it's not all good news what they're dealing with.
No.
But really, the move here that Michael Grove, the Police and Crime Commissioner, said
Matthew
that
Grove, PCC.
A sort of huge spike in social media and the interest and how they're using Twitter and Facebook as a means of policing.
I mean, it's one of his key messages actually in his election campaign to become Police and Crime Commissioner. You know, he said that perhaps these communication methods have become a little bit outdated, and particularly for younger citizens in the area, maybe that was a key way. And I mean, you work at a college, you will see firsthand how organisations have perhaps had to adapt if they want to convey their message to younger people.
Certainly, I think move with the times or get left behind, really. And I think we've still got some way to go in this country when compared with some of the other nations on the planet. And it's good to see.
Yeah, that's brilliant, and I'm sure they'll get many more followers, actually. I'm sure they've just started, actually. Now, next is something that I saw, and this is in the Grimsby Telegraph. DIY facial tattoos lost me my job and our kids got bullied. And this is a gentleman who essentially was a bit intoxicated and ended up drawing tears on his own face, and then not the best looking tattoos you've ever seen.
No, I'd like to say we've all been there, but sadly we haven't. He seems to be a one-off. I mean, this just raises the issue of tattoos and their perception in public life generally. And I think it poses an interesting problem. You know, there's certainly a trend at the moment.
I mean, over the last probably 5-10 years, I'd say we got to the point now where certainly, you know, people my age even, it's more common to have a tattoo than not.
It is, and it certainly seems more common to have lots of them.
Yeah.
I guess the issue for employers is the perception of people. You know, this particular guy here who's lost his job and his kids got bullied is sad to hear. Should we discriminate against someone that has a tattoo? Not really. Yeah. But in terms of making that choice, if you're going to put one on your face or above the collar line or on your
I suppose it's difficult for an employer because an employer presumably doesn't want to discriminate against anyone for having a tattoo anywhere on their body. However, they have to look after the interests of their clients, their customers, and therefore their business.
It is, and you know, a lot of it is about perception, and that's a sad thing. I think you know, in 10 years' time, we may be having a different debate about that as they become the norm. But
I mean, things take time. Maybe in 10 years, people won't have a negative perception of tattoos, assuming they do now.
Maybe or maybe not. I think, but those that are taking that choice at the moment need to think: is it a good idea to have something written on my face or my neck, bearing in mind that I'm looking for work in the near future, and comes down to personal choice, really.
I certainly don't think I'd probably be sitting here now if I had tattoos on my face.
Maybe not.
So yeah, that's another interesting point. Next one I want to look at, something quite positive actually that you pointed out. If you'd like to explain, please, Sam.
Yeah, this is good news that Linda Blow has been recently appointed the General Manager of the Parishes Shopping Centre over in Scunthorpe.
This is in the Scunthorpe Telegraph, yeah.
And it's a good story, really. She's gone from being a till operator to the General Manager of a £55 million shopping mall. And it's good to see that actually, no matter at what stage you enter, you know, the world of work, I think if you set your aspirations at the right level and you're committed and you're good enough, then you really can achieve things. And I think that's a really good story.
I think that's all what we all really want to believe, isn't it? That if you work hard, put your head down, and you know, if you're conscientious about your job, then you can get to the top. Yeah,
and it's good to see that, you know, people learning, working and living within their communities get the chance to take those opportunities.
And when you actually get an example like this, and it's good to see it publicised, I suppose that's a message to everyone that actually it is possible and it's not just a dream, you know, an ideal that we have.
Yeah, it can be done with a bit of belief, a bit of planning and a bit of commitment that hard work can pay off.
Yeah. The next one I wanted to talk about here, and this is in the Grimsby Telegraph, and this is about debt after Christmas, really. And it's about a number of people struggling and the implications that Christmas debt and those debts acquired perhaps at the beginning of the Christmas period when we were talking about Black Friday sales. You know, it's now starting to take its toll on people, especially as the January credit card bills come in.
Well, I mean, January's a difficult month for many anyway, you know, paying off the Christmas debt. Quite often people get paid before Christmas, so that particular wage packet has to last perhaps a lot longer than they used to. And of course, I think things like Black Friday, everyone takes out the bank card or the credit card, and it sounds like a good idea at the time, but actually once the bills come in...
once you've paid the interest over however many months, I wonder if it's even any cheaper.
Is it a bargain or not? And I think it's a difficult period for a lot of people.
Well, it's difficult. I mean, I suppose the only thing they can do is, get help, and there's people from, Credit Union and Citizens Advice Bureau will always be there to offer that.
Yeah. And on the flip of that, we're seeing even more adverts for the Black Friday equivalent in January, because these retailers need to boost their sales, as we referred to earlier with Tesco's. So.
Indeed. Well, I'm afraid that that's all we've got time for, Sam. Thank you very much for coming in today. Very interesting points, and we'll see you again at some point. Now, here's Dan Kemp with the sport.
We've got another big weekend of football action ahead. Hull City travel to West Bromwich Albion in the Premier League tomorrow afternoon. The Hawthorns play host to Tony Pulis' first league game in charge of Albion. The Tigers are now without Andrew Robertson, Liam Rossini and Gaston Ramirez, as well as long-term absentees Mo Diame and Robert Snodgrass. Scunthorpe United travel to Walsall. It'll be the Irons' first league game since beating Rochdale on Boxing Day. Grimsby Town are in FA Trophy action at home to fellow conference outfit Gateshead. The Mariners go into the game on a run of back-to-back home defeats, but a win will see them progress to the third round where they could face North Ferriby United. The Villagers host Hyde tomorrow at the Eon Visual Media Stadium when midfielder Danny Clark returns to the club after rejoining from Humber Premier League outfit Hull United. Hull Kingston Rovers kick off their pre-season campaign on Sunday as they host Halifax for Jason Netherton's testimonial. The game kicks off at the KC Lightstream Stadium at 3 o'clock. Meanwhile, Hull FC will play two fixtures on Sunday, both at Doncaster's Keepmoat Stadium against sides from Doncaster and York. Across the Codes and Hull Ionians host Broad Street at Brantingham Park tomorrow. Eyes suffered only their second defeat of the season last week at Otley and will be looking to bounce back against the 9th place side. Meanwhile, Hull IUFC are at third place Harrogate. Both games are in National League 2 North. Scunthorpe IUFC host Lichfield in National League 3 Midlands. And in ice hockey, the Hull Stingrays travel to the Belfast Giants tomorrow and host the Braehead Clan on Sunday. And that's all for the sport.
Thanks, Dan. That's all we've got time for, I'm afraid, this week. But if you've got a story for us, please contact us in the usual way. Email us at news@estuary.tv. You can get in touch by phone on 01472 3155553 or through social media. That's Twitter or Facebook. Just search for Estuary TV. Good evening. That's all from me. Bye for now. See you tomorrow.
Hello and welcome to Estuary TV's weather. Saturday, heavy rain and winds, followed by sunny spells and showers, turning colder despite the sunshine, as winds stay blustery with a max temperature of 7 degrees, unsettled throughout Sunday with rain or showers, some wintry on hills and highs of 6 degrees.